last class, at the end what we have seen, comparator and comparable, right? So when we use those comparable and comparator, if you are having some sort of string, okay, integer or anything, then you know the order. Means 1 is less than 2, 2 is less than 3, so you know the order. But if I'll tell you object, can you know the order? You don't know the order. Now you have to define the order based on what you want to sort, basically, okay. So in this case, what is the one we use? Comparator and comparable. Then we have seen one of those class we have to create. Then what to do? We will override some the method called compare. Then you will do compare to, automatically it will do the task for you, right? So that's what we have seen, okay. Now, so this is the example which we have discussed, I think, last class, okay. So if you remember here, what I have done, because I wanted to sort the animal based on their number of legs, then I cannot use int here. Why? Because int will not support this compare to. So always it should be your wrapper class. So that's what we have seen, okay. Now let's start from the new chapter called MultiThreading. This comparator is very important, okay. So sometimes people will ask, how will you sort object? Then you have to define in this way. Now you will tell comparator or any other things. And the syntax, I mean, how you are doing this, then what is the method you are using, okay. So those are important. So let's get the syntax of it. Okay, so multi-threading will study, okay. Before going to this, okay, let's understand there are two very common problems, okay, which we face in software industry. Basically most of those will be your mobile device, okay. So okay, so basically what happens, we usually face one problem, okay, in software industry, okay. It's not about, I mean, web technology, okay. So you can face in your mobile also, okay. So there are two problems which you face. What is the first one? Called FC, or what is that FC? FC is nothing but force close, okay. So FC means force close. What is FC? FC means force close. Okay, and what is the another problem called ANR? What is another problem called ANR? ANR means application not responding. Okay, so there are two very big problems which we face in software industry. First one is called FC. FC means force close. What is the second one? ANR. ANR means application not responding, okay. So have you ever seen in your mobile, whenever you open it, some of the application, it will tell you Facebook is unfortunately stopped. Have you ever seen this particular message in your mobile? Okay, so that is nothing but your force close. Okay, so typically it will call in your mobiles, it is very famous, okay. So something like, it will say Facebook got unfortunately stopped, okay. And below that, one of the button will be called close will be one of the button, okay. What is this? This is called force close. So what does that mean? That means what happened from your application, some exceptions might have thrown, but you did not catch it, basically. So that's why this problem comes, okay. And it is very easy to rectify. You just go and just switch try catch block, your things will be fixed, basically. Okay, So this is called forced close. Now what is the another problem which we are talking about called ANR? Okay, so what is ANR? In your mobile you will get this message sometimes. Okay, so Facebook is not responding. Do you want to continue or wait? Some sort of, you want to close or wait. Are you able to understand? This is one of the problems which we face, right? So what is this called? This is called ANR. ANR means application not responding. Okay, so there will be two options. Okay, so something like application is not responding. Application is not responding. Okay, then there will be two buttons. Okay, one is to close, another is to wait. So these are the two problems which we face. Okay, now let's try to understand when ANR will happen. I mean, in which scenario this one will come. FC, very simple. So some exceptions are not handled. Okay, not handled. This we have already seen in our exception handling. Okay, so how to handle it? Try catch, or maybe some sort of throws, or maybe whatever way you want to do. Okay, now we will discuss about the ANR. Okay, and ANR is the toughest task in mobile technology. Okay, so most of the time this should be handled by some experienced person. I mean if you join the company, they will not give you this problem, because you have to go through a lot of logs. Okay, you have to do a lot of research, which thread is creating problem, many things. I mean, you have to do a lot of analysis for this. Okay, so mostly it will be done by some experienced person only. Okay, so new people who don't do this. Now try to understand, I mean, when this ANR happens. Okay, so suppose if I am preparing one building at my home. Okay, so I am preparing one building. Okay, and only one person is working to prepare that building. Okay, suppose one person is working, he is doing all those tasks, I mean, every task is getting done by that person. Okay, now if I ask him, hey, how much things are done, I need that status, will he respond to me? No. Why? Because he is busy in his task, right? Are you able to understand what I am telling? Now suppose if you are using your laptop, hey, give me your laptop, will you give me? No. Sir, I am working on that, how will I give you? Are you able to understand? So similarly here also, suppose if I am preparing one building, one person is doing the task. Now if you will ask him the status, can he give you the correct status? No, because he is busy in doing his task, right? So similarly here also in your mobile, what happens? If you do some expensive task in main thread, then what will happen? Main thread is busy in doing some expensive task, right? So now what will happen? If you will ask me, hey, give me something else, he will respond to me? No, right? So similarly case will happen over there. Okay, so try to understand when ANR will come. If our main thread is busy in doing some expensive task, if our main thread is busy in doing some expensive task, it won't be responsive to the user interaction. Okay, why it will not be responsive? Because he is busy. If he is free, he could have responded, right? But now in this case, what will happen? In your mobile, you scroll, you click on the button. Now your thread is not responding. Why? The problem is because he is busy in doing some expensive task. So if our thread is busy, main thread is busy in doing some expensive task, it won't be responsive to the user. Okay, so there will be some threshold time. So maybe some sort of, maybe 10 seconds. So within 10, you clicked on that 10 second, you did not get the response, suddenly this pop-up will come called ANR. Okay, so and that time you can change it. I mean, from the operating system level you can change that time also. Okay, so it won't be responsive to the user interaction. So then we get the pop-up of ANR. Okay, now how to fix this problem? How to fix this problem? So let's go to the example which I was talking about. I am preparing one building. Okay, I am employing only one person who is doing the task. Now I need my status to be known and I want my task also to be done. Then what you do? I'll employ one more person. There will be two person. One will be working, other person will be just giving me the status. Are you able to understand? So similarly here also what will happen? What is the solution we should have? We should have more than one thread. Okay, one thread will give me the status and another thread will be doing some expensive task basically. Okay, so how to fix this problem? We will spawn background threads. We will spawn some background threads who will do the expensive task. So we'll create some background thread which will do the expensive task. Now what happened? Main thread will always be free for me, right? Why? Because he is not doing the expensive task. Okay, so that main thread will always be available for user interaction. Okay, so we'll do our expensive task in background thread, and what will happen? Main thread will not do expensive task. So we will spawn on background thread which will do the expensive task, so that main thread will always be available for the user interaction. Now there will not be problem of ANR. Why? Because main thread is free for us, right? No matter what you do, you click on the button, you scroll, no problem at all. Okay, so this is the way how we fix this problem. Any doubt till now? Whatever we have studied, simple. Okay, so now let's try to start our actual things. Okay, so before going, so let's try to understand thread and process. Okay, there are two things. One is called process. Okay, what is another one called thread? Okay, so yeah, process, and also the third one is program. So there we use these three words. Okay, first is your program, then what is the second one? Process, and third one is called thread. So any idea? What is the difference between program and process? What was invocation of? Yes, you are absolutely right. Okay, so try to understand over there. Okay, so if I'll ask you, tell me this stream viewer, is it a process? It is not a process. Okay, so it is sort of program, or you can say it is an application. But if I'll ask you now, tell me, is this Eclipse is a program or process now? It became process. Why? Because as soon as I started my program, it became the process. Okay, so anywhere, wherever, if this is your system, right? So if you want to see the process, how will you do? You do go to your task manager. Go to your task manager. Okay, so somewhere down the line, see, let's try to find it. Let's try to get some. Are you able to see? These are the process. These are the process which are currently running in my machine. Similarly, in your mobile also, there will be many processes which will be running. You can see these are the processes which are running currently. Okay, so now if I'll ask you what is the difference between program and process. So typically what we call program in execution is called process. Okay, so program in execution is called process. So until unless you will not execute, it will never be process. It will always be a program or application, you can say. So program in execution is called process. Okay, yeah. Now let's try to understand what is a thread. What is thread? What is a thread? What is a thread? Tell me. Okay, so you will have many definitions, I mean, which you might have already studied in your college days, right? So in college you will have some red book. In college you will never remember the writer's name. Okay, you will get red book or green book. Okay, so what is thread? Any idea? Any idea? Okay, try to understand. I mean, as I have told the example of, I mean, suppose I am preparing one building. Okay, so currently maybe suppose 5 persons are working. Okay, and they are taking 10 days to complete the building. How many persons are working? 5 persons are working. How many days they are taking? 10 days to complete the building. Okay, now if I'll have 10 person working over there, how many days they will take? Approximately 5. Why? Because you are employing more person to do your task. So it might not be exactly 5, but approximately 5, maybe a little more than that. I mean, we don't know actually, but theoretically, or you can say mathematical calculation will give us that result called 5. So similar sort of pattern happens in your it's not about mobile, anywhere. Okay, suppose if you are running one program, okay, and you are running only one thread, okay, and one thread you are running with one thread, and it is taking almost maybe 3000 milliseconds to complete your task. How much time it is taking? 3000 milliseconds. Now if you will run 2 threads, then how much time it will take? Approximately 1500. Approximately 1500, right? Why? Because 2 person are working over there. Similar to your, as I told about home preparation, right? Okay. So which would be fast? Tell me. One thread will be fast or 2 thread will be fast? 2 thread will be fast. Okay. Now similarly, if I'll have 3 threads, then approximately how much time? 1000 milliseconds. Are you able to understand? So more number of threads, more faster your task will be. Okay, and user will also feel good. Why? Because suppose if you are scrolling, you scrolled and it is scrolling after 5 minutes, so user will not feel good. But if you scroll, suddenly it will scroll, then what will happen? User will feel, wow, it is doing very fast. Okay, so how those fastness will come into picture? When you will have more number of threads, basically. Okay, so from this, let's try to have the definition of thread. So what is thread? Thread is nothing but unit of concurrent execution. What is that? Unit of concurrent execution. Means you want to do the task concurrently, right? So that's why we call, what is a thread? Thread is nothing but unit of concurrent execution. So thread is nothing but it is unit of concurrent execution. Okay, and it is also called lightweight sub-process. So thread is nothing but unit of concurrent execution, and it is also called lightweight sub-process. Okay, so it is lightweight sub-process. Now if I'll ask you, what is the difference between, you understood what is the difference between program and process, right? Program and execution is called process. Okay, now if I'll ask you what is the difference between process and thread, What is the difference between process and thread? Tell me. I'll show you one diagram, na? So from there you will be able to understand. Let's open that. We'll discuss this in Android while going through, but for timing I'll just show the diagram so that you'll be able to understand. Yeah, from here can you tell me what is the difference between process and thread? Anything which we can find from this diagram? What? Process is combination of threads, yeah. Okay, so very important, one of the difference you can find out, try to understand. Okay, so one process can have many threads, okay, but one thread will have only one process. It cannot have many processes. And able to understand what I talked about this? Okay, so yeah, note it down over there. Okay, so what is the difference between thread and process? Okay, so one process can have many threads, okay, but one thread will run in only one process. One process can have many threads, but one thread will have only one process. Okay, it cannot have multi-process. Okay, but whenever you are starting process, automatically one thread will be generated by default. Okay, because without thread your process will not run. One thread is mandatory. Okay, what is that thread name called? That is called main thread. Okay, so if you see in this diagram also, there are two processes, process 1, process 2. Process 2 does not have anything, but main thread is always there, which is mandatory basically. Now without this main thread your process cannot run. Okay, so what we can mention over there is main thread is mandatory for a process to run. Okay, main thread is mandatory for a process to run. We'll see with some practical example, that time it will be more clear. Okay, so for timing we are just looking at the theoretical part. Okay, now typically we will discuss the in depth. Okay, so how many types of threads we have got? Okay, there are three types of threads. One is called main thread. Okay, these are also called UI thread. What is this called? UI thread. Main thread is exactly same as UI thread. Okay, second type of thread is called background thread. Okay, these are also called worker thread. What are they called? Worker thread. Okay, and third type of is called daemon thread. Okay, so daemon thread. So this is one of the thread. So we'll discuss with some example later on time. For timing, you just try to understand these are the three types of thread: main thread, worker thread, and daemon thread. Hey, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back. Okay, so these are the three types of thread: main thread, background thread, and daemon thread. Okay, so now let's try to This we will see. I mean, what are the differences and all. Okay. So let's try to look into our PPT which we are talking about. So whatever things we have discussed. So what is multi-threading? It is a mechanism of executing multiple threads simultaneously. Simultaneous means concurrently. Okay. So what is a thread? Thread is nothing but lightweight sub-process. It is also called unit of concurrent execution. Okay. Yeah. Now there are two. So now what is multitasking? What is multitasking? Multitasking is doing more tasks together, doing more tasks simultaneously. Okay, so doing multiple tasks simultaneously. Okay, something like if you are eating food, okay, and you are reading paper also, so that is multitasking. You are doing more than one task together, right? You are watching movie and having some sort of snacks. It is also multitasking. You are doing more than one task together. Okay. Now in your normal software, okay, so this multitasking can be achieved by two ways. What are those called? Multi-processing. Another is called multi-threading. Okay, so this can be achieved by two ways. What are those? First is called multi-processing. What is another way? Another way is called multi-threading. So multitasking can be done using two ways. One is called multi-processing, another is called multi-threading. Okay. So by name, can you judge what is multi-processing means? More than one process. What is multi-threading? More than one threads are working together, basically. Okay. So both way you can achieve multitasking. Okay. Now if I'll ask you which is fast, multi-processing or multi-threading, what will be fast? Multi-threading or multi-processing? Tell me. Multi-threading. Why? What I didn't get. What? Yeah, right.
Processing is like they have multiple threads inside that.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So try to understand. Suppose I this is one room. This is one process. Okay. Another room is the last room is one process. So this is one process. The other process is the last room. Okay. Now as we have discussed, thread is part of process. So in this room there are two threads are there. I mean 2 persons are there. Okay. There also 2 persons are there. Okay. Now tell me what is multiprocessing. This process will talk to another process. And what is multi-threading? Multi-threading is both of those persons are talking together. So which should be fast? Tell me. Multi. Correct. Okay. So here multi-threading means what is happening? The communication which you are doing, it is inside your process. Are you able to understand? But if it is multi-processing, what is happening? This room is talking to another room, which would be very difficult. Why? Because cost is more. I mean, communication will be slow over there, right? So always your multi-threading will be faster than multi-processing. Why? Because you are not going out of your process to talk. But in case of multi-processing, you have to go out of your process and talk it, right? So multi-threading will always be faster. So multi-threading will always be faster than multi-processing. We will have some examples also which will illustrate it. Okay, so that's what is mentioned over there. Okay, so what is multiprocessing? One process communicating with another process is called multiprocessing. Okay, and as we know, process is heavyweight. Processes are heavyweight. Processes are heavyweight, but thread is lightweight. Okay, processes are heavyweight. Okay, and cost of communication between process is high. Okay, so the cost of communication between process is high. Okay, on the other hand, what is multi-threading? One thread communicating with another thread. One thread is communicating with another thread, so that is called multi-threading. Okay, and thread is lightweight. We have already discussed, right? So what is thread? Thread is lightweight subprocess. Okay, so thread is lightweight, and as both the threads are inside the same process, then what will happen? Cost is less. Okay, so you don't have much cost in the communication. So cost of communication is low. So as the cost of communication between threads, communication between threads is low. So what we can say? It is faster than multiprocessing. So multi-threading is faster than multiprocessing because cost of communication is less. Okay, so that's what is mentioned over there. Try to understand what is multitasking. Multitasking can be achieved by two ways. One is called multiprocessing, another is called multi-threading. What is this one? Process is heavyweight, cost of communication between process is high, plus this one also, switching from one process to another process is expensive. Because try to understand, if you want to go from this room to another room, it will be tough for you, right? Here you have to get up, then go there. But if you are having multi-threading, what will happen? You are in the same room, right? So it would be easier for you to switch from one person to another person. Suppose I am talking to you, okay? So now I can talk to her also, right? Easily. But if I will tell you I am talking to you and I will talk to some other guy also, then I have to go from there here to there, and it will take me a lot of time, right? So that's why what will happen? Switching from one process to another process is expensive. But if you want to communicate between the process, it would be easier for us within the process, basically. Okay. So that's what is threads share the same address. This we will see while going through. Thread is lightweight, okay, and cost of communication between thread is low. So that's why always your multi-threading is faster than your multi-processing. Okay. Yeah. Now let's try to understand how we can create thread in Java. Okay. So how to create thread in Java? How to create thread in Java? Okay. So different languages will have its own way to create the thread, but we want to create thread in Java. Okay, so there are two ways to create a thread in Java. Okay, one way is to extending thread. What is the class name we are having? Extending thread. Extend means multi-threading. What is that called? Inheritance. Extends means what is the keyword we use? Inheritance. Inheritance will always use this keyword called extends. Okay. What is the another way to create the thread? Implementing runnable. What is the another way to create a thread? Implementing runnable. We will see both of those. So implementing means what is the keyword we use for interface. So by name only you can understand runnable is a interface. So there are two ways to create a thread in Java: extending thread and implementing a runnable. Okay. And after creating thread, because if you will create the thread, it is of no use, right, until unless you will not start it. Okay, so we use one of the method called start. What is the method to start a thread? Start is the method. What is the method name? Start. And as soon as we will do start, it will execute one of the method called run method. What is the method name called? Run. Run is the method which gets executed. Run is the method which gets executed. Okay, run is the method. So let's try to do a very simple. We'll try to create one thread using extending thread. Okay, so this is your project. Okay. We will comment all the things which we have done in last class. Okay, so I will remove it. So what is the first way? Extending thread. So how will you do? I'll just write the code here, snippet, then you will do attention. So as I told, what is the public class? Suppose you want to create a thread, then I'll do thread 1 extends thread. Like this I'll do. And automatically what is the method will be there inside your thread? Run method. Okay. So you have to override one of the method called run. You got to override it. So how to override? We are having one of the override like this. Okay, so this is about your thread. Now you have to start it, right? So thread is also a class. So how to work with the class? You must create the object. Then only you can work with this, right? So whenever you want to create the thread from wherever, what I'll do? I'll write something like thread 1. Okay, then what I'll do? Thread 1 thread object equal to new thread. And what I'll do? Thread object dot, what is the method name? Start is the method name which we use. Start is the method name which we use. Okay. Now suppose here you want to do some expensive task. What sort of expensive task you can have? What sort of expensive task? What all tasks are expensive? What all tasks are expensive? Tell me. Something like you are connecting with network, okay, and you are downloading some image. Downloading image might go for maybe, you don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours. You never know, right? Are you able to understand? So images, chalo, it will be done in maybe 5-10 minutes. Okay. If you are having some movie you are downloading, is it very simple task? No, it is expensive task. Okay. Why? Because your process will be, very much heavyweight with your things. Right? So should we do the downloading of movie in your main thread? No. If you will do, what will happen? Main thread will be busy. If you will do something, he will not respond. So then where you should do this downloading of image or maybe your movie, where you should do? You should always do in background thread. Okay. So now tell me whether this run method is inside, what is it? Is your main thread or background thread? It is a background thread. It is the best place where you can write some expensive tasks. Okay. So what sort of expensive task? Movie download or any sort of expensive task basically. Okay. So for time being, we just want to have some sort of, maybe we will have some for loop here and we will just run it for time being. Okay. So run method is the best place where you can write some expensive code basically. Why? Because this one will not run in your main thread. It will always run in your background thread. So what we understood here is run method is the best place to do the expensive expensive tasks. Okay, run method is the best place where we can do the expensive task. Okay, so for timing we will just print from 0 to 100 in one thread, and we will see that. So how we'll do. So we'll go here. I want to create a thread. So how to create a class? Very simple. Alt Shift N. I want to create a class thread1. Thread1 is the class name. So what is the class name? Thread1. I want to extend thread. So what is the keyword? Extends, then thread. Okay, now automatically what method will be overridden in set thread? Run is the method. Okay, so we will override this run method here. Run control space, it will automatically override. Okay, and what is the task you want to do? For timing, I just want to print from 0 to 100. Okay, so how will you tell me? I want to have a for loop which will print our number from 0 to 100, and SYSO I want to print that number, so I will just make it 5. What is a system.out.println? I want to print something in the console. Okay, so here you can write any sort of expensive task. Okay, so but for timing I am just printing 0 to 100, the numbers which we have. 0 to 99 actually, because we are not having equal to. Okay, now if we want to start this thread, what you have to do? You must have to create object first, then start method, as simple as that. Okay, so we'll go to our main class. I want to start a thread, then I have to do thread1. This is an object equal to, how to create an object? New operator. Okay, so new thread. Okay, now as I told how to start a thread, what is the method we use? Start is the method. As soon as you will do start, which method will run? Run method will run automatically. Okay, so thread1 dot start. That's all. This much only. Okay, if I run this code, what should we get? We should get 0 to 99. Okay, so 0 to 99. So what I am getting? 0 to 99. Okay, so whatever those numbers are there, 0 to 99. Now if I ask you, this one is running in main thread or background thread? It is running in background thread. Okay, so how will you come to know whether it is running in your main thread or background thread? Okay, so what you can do is, in your run method, okay, so before printing we are having one of the method by which you can get the thread name. Okay, so what is the name called? Thread dot current thread dot get name. We are having one of the method called thread dot current thread dot get name. Will give you the name of that thread. If it is a main thread, it will tell you main thread. Okay, so we'll try to print here also. Okay, we'll try to print here also. Okay, so tell me what should be coming here. It should, so let's try to see what is coming here. Are you able to say this is where it is running in your main thread, and other thing where it is running? Thread 0, thread 0, thread 0. What is thread 0? Thread 0 is nothing but it is a background thread. It is not a main thread. So main thread will always give you this name called main. So this is giving you the name called main. Others are thread 0. All those are your background thread. Okay. Now if you want to set the name, suppose I want to give background thread as some sort of tapas thread. Now how will you give? You are having one of the method called set name. What is the method name? Set name. I'll give name called tapas loop thread. This is the name of your background thread. Okay, so now if I'll print, what it should come? See here, what is coming? Tapas loop thread. Are you able to understand? This is the thread. So how will you get the name of the thread? thread dot current thread dot get name will give you the name of that thread. Very simple. Thread dot current thread dot get name. Wherever you are confused whether it is running in main thread or background thread, what you do? You just do thread dot get current thread dot get name. It will tell you where it is running. Okay. So thread dot current thread dot get name. Okay. If it returns main, what does that mean? That means your program is running in main thread. Okay, so means main thread, or we can say UI thread, both are same. Okay, but if it is returning some sort of number, something like thread 0, okay, or thread 1, some sort of number will be there. Okay, then where it is running, it will be running in your background thread or whatever, or any other name. In this case, as I am having the name called tapas, so any name you can give, so it might be any name, all will be your background thread or whatever. Okay, so always we use thread dot current thread dot get name to get the name of the thread. Wherever, it's not like in this code, in Android also, because Android also works with this thread only, Java threads only. So there also, if you want to see where it is running, just do thread dot current thread dot get name. Okay, so we'll finish here only.